This conference will now be recorded.
Did you go to Newark?
Yeah, gosh, they canceled my flight last night.
Yeah, people have been nightmares.
It's terrible.
Yeah, not enough controls.
Yeah, so,
Plus it was bad weather, I guess. That afternoon.
All right,
sorry.
welcome, Ada.
Deep breath.
All right, we'll call to order the meeting for the March 5th, 2025 budget meeting. Kelly, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ayala,
Right.
Commissioner Hutchins,
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cos,
Here.
and Mayor Pugh.
Here. All right, so pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Public comment? Mary Kate? No? All right, we'll close the public comment, move right into the regular agenda, preliminary discussion of the fiscal year 26 budget. Michelle?
Thank you, sir. Mayor, commissioners. There you go. I thought Red meant off. I apologize for that. My first foul. Mayor and commissioners, welcome to your first budget meeting. It's very informal, but it's just as important. So we're coming together today to accomplish a couple of easy things. One is to provide your staff with preliminary direction on the strategic priority areas. This is in the bottom of the first page memo, if you want to refer to it. Begin identifying areas of highest importance as far as you would like us to know from you to us. Offer feedback on the draft of the vision and mission statements, and establish a clear focus to guide the next phases of the budget season. Okay, so I had a chance to meet with each of you individually, and today is the day that we take that information and bring it to the board collectively and make sure I get a thumbs up from everybody collectively. So we're looking for consensus. What I've learned so far about what's important to you as a group is water infrastructure and the modernization of the pipes, stormwater and flood mitigation, meaning we can't fix all the flooding issues that are out there, but we're doing our best to mitigate it. Fiscal responsibility and service excellence, it's how we do it with our finances and how we do it with our people. And enhancing environmental preservation and the community character, meaning keep it the way it is. All right, so then we're moving on. Did I give you the one that had the little check marks on it? Okay, yes. So we can move right to where it says Town of Ocean Ridge Strategic Priorities. This was the draft, and as I spoke with each of you, I offered you these top 5 issues that,
I can't find where you are.
okay, you can take a look up at the, or your,
This one.
at the
Oh,
prompter.
Yep, got it.
Kelly's got us, she's keeping us straight. So on this prompter, as you can see, are the strategic priorities based on what I learned. And the first one being strengthen infrastructure resilience. The second one, preserve and enhance the community character. The third is deliver exceptional public services, customer service. And the fourth is exercise sound fiscal stewardship. And the last is plan for sustainable growth and risk mitigation. So I received basically a thumbs up from each of you that those were important, and those are not in any particular order other than the fact that I did hear from each of you that water is number 1. I wanted to make sure I said that. Okay, next. Yes.
I know we talked when we were in our one-on-one session. These sound like they line up pretty well with our, what's the official name of that plan that we have?
Capital
Your
improvement plan?
comprehensive plan?
The comprehensive plan.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Do you feel like it lines up pretty well with the comprehensive plan, or do we have to make adjustments to the comprehensive plan to make sure it's lined up?
At this time, it does really line up, and you're in the process of doing an update. Additionally, I've put into, it's up to you to accept it or not accept it, but I've put into your capital plan for the next 5 years, a small amount of money to make sure that we continue to remain focused on it, aligning with it, and incorporating it, as you say, and making sure that we are not varying from it. So the small expense is only $5,000 a year, but that would enable you, in case we needed to do any type of public workshop or additional consulting services to update our comprehensive plan.
Thanks.
You're welcome, sir. I did hear you on that to make sure. So from that information that, that I received talking with each of you and then also going through previous ordinances and resolutions, I came up with a draft vision statement. And I'll read it out loud. Ocean Ridge is a thriving seaside community that treasures its natural beauty, strengthens its foundations for future generations, and delivers exceptional service with integrity, resilience, and pride. I also came up with a draft mission statement, and then if you can click, then I realized you actually already have a mission
Yeah.
statement. So,
I was reading, I was like, well, it's
I
pretty
went
good,
ahead
but
and
we have.
overlapped it on here. And so it's kind of deconstructing the recipe, if you will, and that we have the mission statement, and the vision statement does still align, so it's lovely. The mission of the town of Ocean Ridge is to create and maintain a beautifully landscaped, diverse seaside community built around a family and civic pride, state-of-the-art public services and infrastructure that enhance the beauty and of our town, natural beauty of our town. Thank you. All right, so yes, it does align as far as staff is concerned with where you were and where you're going. For commission consideration, this would be a great time for you to say, I want to change everything, or let's stay on track. And that's what I'll ask.
I would just, in the vision statement, can we add Ocean Ridge is a thriving residential seaside community?
Yes, ma'am. If it's the pleasure of the
Yeah.
entire.
Fine.
Okay.
I'm a little more confused on the mission statement. You're asking us to leave the mission statement as it already is?
I didn't want to offend you once I found out that there was
Yeah.
a mission statement, so I took out what I thought was the draft and I put in what you already have.
Okay,
However,
Yeah.
if you want to change the mission statement anyway, we absolutely can.
so we're looking at, this is not the mission statement, the mission statement you read.
This mission statement that I just read is the one that is yours, that you adopted, and it's on
Fine
your
with the current
website.
mission statement.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's worked for a while.
All right.
And that's different than this one, or that's,
What I see, what we have up
oh,
on the
that's a little different.
prompt, yes, this is what you actually, on the prompter is what you have on your website.
Gotcha.
Okay, so, yeah, we'll go right to next. All right, so all that being said, how do we take all that information and then use it? So here's an example of how it translates to the day-to-day operation. So the way this works is you as the governing board come up with the vision, you come up with the mission, and you say, go forth, staff, and make it work. And so staff takes that information and we create the work prioritized, as you have told us. So for instance, priority number 1 might be strengthen the infrastructure resiliency. And so here, your main projects that are on your capital improvement would start to fall underneath these pillars, if you will. So the water main network, for instance, you have 2 main projects, one being phase 2, which is your main line, your force main that's right here in front of town hall, and then your flow and pressure issues. For drainage mitigation, we would look at seawalls and areas that are significant. And for roads and bridges, we do have some maintenance has to go for the Island Drive Bridge, and in the future years, whatever falls under that category. And for your consideration, this is a first draft of a capital improvement plan for your budget. This will come back to you each time, probably for the next 2 months until I get it finalized. And then we'll look to finalize it before we move into September. So it'll be a final in September.
Excuse me, is that page 10 where you just said the capital plan?
So I don't
I don't think
I
it's
don't
in
think
there.
we don't have that.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't have a.
we don't
I see
have
some
that
numbers, on the strategic priorities, I do see some projects with numbers on it, so I thought maybe that was.
Will eventually that be the tab that says capital in this book?
That will be, and it will be the eventual tab. Each time I come back to you, I will be making sure that we're still touching the right areas. Some of this is dependent on our outside consultants, and that's why this was delayed and you didn't have this updated. I wanted to make sure on the pricing, and we still have pricing to be determined. So as you look at on the prompter, you'll see some areas that still say TBD, and we will finalize that obviously before we get to it. So we just need to get the pricing from the consultants as we move forward. The final column there where it says notes, there are opportunities here for grants that you have already been pursuing, and there are additional opportunities for other grants. Where it makes sense, we're going to note it and we'll plan for it in the 5-year period.
What's LMS?
What page are you?
Right here. You got
Yes, I know Commissioner
Oh,
Cassidy is on it.
it?
Local
me.
mitigation strategy, and your county will pull all of its municipalities together, and together, all the municipalities and the county rank out all the projects that are happening, water projects, et cetera, within the county. And based on that ranking, they then move forward in asking the state for state funding.
How do we interact with the county then? Because that sounds important.
Yes, so, go ahead, Commissioner.
No, go ahead.
So your staff meets regularly, is supposed to meet regularly with them, and I will be meeting with them, and also positioning and being the ambassador for these projects.
So what's the governance around that? So are they talking about giving us money? Or are they talking about
No.
telling us how to spend our money?
No, it's getting money from the state.
Yeah.
So it's the county
So we work with the
facilitates,
county to help them facilitate.
Yes.
They back our requests for money
Yes.
from us.
but
do
we
they give
need to
the
have
money?
someone there who's speaking
The
knowledgeably about the projects that we are
So
working
if the state gives the money to the county, and we're one of the examples, is the county obliged to give us the money from our example, or
because they've ranked and determined,
it's already in there?
yeah,
So they
So it's
can't,
earmarked, it's kind of line item when they.
I believe so, right? I mean,
So each county will receive a bucket of money from the state.
But-
And
But is it delineated what it was?
so we need to
for?
delineate it before the money comes. We need to all agree as a
Exactly.
group what priorities are most important. And from that agreement, then it's brought back to you. It should be brought back to you to approve. And then every single municipality along with the county will approve their LMS ranking. And then we wait for the monies that come from the state. And then when it comes, it gets divided appropriately.
who does the LMS? The county?
The county is in charge of leading that conversation.
That sounds pretty important then,
Yeah, it's
because that's gonna
everywhere.
affect our ranking, right?
Correct, yeah. And that's
So-
why the projects that typically get ranked the highest are the projects that have crossover benefit. For instance, if we had a project here that happened to be enhancing public access to waterways, and it was close to the beach area across the way, that would not only benefit our area and our Ocean Ridge residents, it would also benefit anybody that's coming to the Boynton Beach beaches. And so that then brings the project from being ranked lower to a higher rank.
Is that the primary way that we would try to access those funds, or can we go straight to the state as well?
Well, we're
That's the
ju-
primary way.
That's the primary way.
we're also trying to get state money, as you know.
Mhm.
So are they prejudiced against us because we're Barren Island?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, they don't mean to be, but
Yeah,
there's qualifiers, and there's low to moderate income is LMI, if you ever hear those initials, that acronym. And low to moderate income is not where you fall. And typically, that's going to get a little higher ranking, especially if it's like, say, a septic to sewer project or something like those, along those lines. But it doesn't mean that you don't have a project that's highly beneficial to many people.
I mean,
So,
if the beaches
especially-
are what serve as a magnet to drive people down here,
Exactly.
then I would think that we can pitch it,
That's
that we do
exactly
pitch it, yeah. that's-
So in
Maybe
my experience
no
in the
part.
past, what can happen is that staff goes to these events and there's a lot of collaboration that occurs and then conversations on the side. And if because we are not ranking as high from a qualifying standpoint, if that starts to occur and I need more support, I will come back to the commission and ask for that, and then I would ask for you to then reach out to the county commission potentially to try to influence that. But typically, it's left to staff to figure out.
Have you seen instances where it's helpful to have multiple commissioners participate, or does that actually slow the process or
It
hurt the
can
process?
slow the process, yeah. And sometimes actually a commissioner at the county level, and this is not a Palm Beach County, my experience in a different county was that a commissioner can get upset that the process is not going the way that they would prefer and eliminate the project from their ranking. So you have to be very delicate, yeah. It's really, they have qualifiers to try to keep it as objective as possible.
Does our lobbying firm that we just hired, would they help us in this process, or
No.
are they mostly going directly
They're
to
going
the state?
directly to Tallahassee. Yeah, they're very focused.
I'm
I think
assuming
much of
no one has lobbyists to go to the county.
No.
No.
No, you won't do that. But a lot of these monies that they're using are monies that are left over from FEMA issues or storms where there were monies that they didn't use. that were allocated towards like say a Hurricane Michael, and not all the monies were used, so now they take what's left and then they divide it amongst all the counties within the state of Florida.
So if the total money available that we could go after was 100, how much of it would come from this source versus us going directly for grants from the state? Is
These
it
are small.
half or,
Yeah, no, these are small. I mean, coming up, I would say like a 15%, maybe. if
so
I had to
maybe
pick a
15
number.
out of 100? Okay.
Yeah, and then these items, we would look to solve our maintenance issues, our stormwater issues, items like that.
Got it.
On this particular document, what I'm looking for from a thumbs up or thumbs down is really under the item description portion. And as you can see where the column that says priority, I'm linking them back to your priority pillars, if you will. And so they all fall within the priorities that you've established with our 1R1s. And there should be nothing really new on here, other than that I added the comprehensive plan alignment.
Yeah.
Okay, thumbs up. All right, thank you.
Do we feel like there's anything missing? Is there anything that's come up over the past year that we should be adding to this list? I'm not suggesting there is, but I'm just.
I'm wondering, what's the town hall hardening?
That's for hurricane resilience, so new windows, hurricane windows, new doors, hurricane doors.
Yeah, but did we build them a hurricane code? when
We
first
have
built it?
we have a grant in process right now to help fund that.
Oh, okay.
So that's why.
Are they
it's
not
been-
up to the current hurricane standards?
I think you're up to a category 3.
Okay.
And you really have an opportunity to do a little better.
Hmm.
And especially, my understanding is your staff stays here, unless it's a 5, they stay here. So we want to make sure that that if they're staying here, they're well enough when it's all done and not having to care for issues here at town hall.
There's
but they
usually
can
air
get out.
mattresses on the ground right here in front of your,
Oh.
Oh, really?
you sleep here.
And so once we get the hardening funding, it will make it much easier. I expect it to almost be net neutral. And if, as we have more come on or come off, we're gonna change it all the way up until September.
Yeah, but we really can't see that, really can't really plan on that 1.8 number being close to being what it is without that phase 2 modernization of pipe number.
Correct.
That's gonna be a big
Very-
number.
You're right, very preliminary.
I mean, we're figuring we
Where
figured
is that number on here?
at the very top,
Oh,
phase
TBD.
2 is just to be determined.
Yeah.
So I
Last
mean,
year, didn't we put aside $1 million?
yeah, right now,
1.25.
on your
And-
strategic retired intent of page 711, investment allocation, you put in there 1.25 million for 24-25 for water main replacement. So if we could take 2.9, 23, 24, 1.5, 24, 25, so for 26, if we just take the 1.25, we're at $3 million.
Correct. That is I believe that's the monies that you received from ARPA,
Mm-hmm.
and that's closed out. And so I need to see where the project is. You may not even need to carry much forward on this, which is another reason why I have TBD.
Well, we might as well plan it's going to be at least $1 million to do what we're going to do. I mean,
I think I think we should be thinking about it going up, not
Yeah.
down. Yeah. So I'm still catching up a little bit here. So on 2026, this column, this is from all sources. This is not what we're going to get from the state through the county or from the state directly. This is the total amount we need to pay for, or
Correct. This is an expenditure.
this is what comes out of our budget?
Yes.
Yep.
Very preliminary.
Yep. So tax revenues, we think are gonna, I see you've got I didn't see this when we met the other day, but it's going up about how much? do you think?
Last year went up 9.85, I believe, or 82%.
This is
So
about
I
$1 million?
expect about the same,
They go up about $1 million.
about a million.
So I was kind of hoping, just doing back of the envelope stuff, that million increase, a large portion of that could go towards the water project, incremental money, because we're right at the point now where as tax revenues go up, that isn't deployed on keeping the lights on mostly.
Mhm.
It can be for these.
well, I think we really also,
Infrastructure
I'm
projects.
sorry. I thought you were done.
I'm-
Well, also we should look at I saw how you did the drainage. The drainage loan actually has one payment left. And we were paying, I calculated, we were paying $936,000 a year for that total. So there's $1 million we've been paying over and over again that really we could keep in and then move it right to our drainage, our water project. You know,
Yes.
I mean, see here, see this here?
This
Where
looks like
was
the
that?
payment was 300.
I'm gonna get to
Yeah, at the
that.
the top one where it says drainage, it's original, we have current, it's 227,000 and change left, and the last payment is this July. And it's actually less,
It's,
about
but it
200
looks like it's, if you look, third column from the right, it looks like the payment.
yeah, the last
300.
payment's 233.
And 77 for the town hall, so that's 300 total.
All the payments.
Yeah, and that's,
You might want to listen to Gene.
But Jean, if you.
well, Jean needs to come up to the microphone if she wants to say something. If she thinks I can hear her from there,
Mr. Mayor, Gina Callahan, our treasurer.
that's a $1 million stretch.
Tall enough. All the payments have been 233,000. They've been the exact same amount
Every
since day one. And
Well, they're every
they're
quarter.
paid
right?
January and July.
They're semi-annual, so I mean, it's every 6 months.
Two payments.
Two payments totaling 233,000. They
Yeah.
total 233.
No, 233 each.
So it's 466
Yeah.
annually is what we're paying.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
well,
so that will drop out.
that messes up my whole math, Gene.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I called them on that to just make sure I didn't miss a payment somewhere, between January and July. They said, no, it's just 2 payments a year.
So that sounds like it's a 233,000 good guy, right? Because we'll pay 233 this year instead of 466.
Yeah.
So that's $250,000 to the
Well,
good.
there might be a little bit left. I don't know what the interest rate is. It just says principal.
It says
It's down to
1.5.
200 and
You said
change.
1.5%. so
Yeah.
it's pretty
If I may,
Well, either way, it's our last payment is this,
Yeah, that's what I don't
Really
understand.
close to being
If I may.
it's
I
July.
think
Oh, it's in
our
July,
town
so
manager would
before
like
the
to
year
say
starts.
something.
Michelle?
yes, for clarity, you're correct, Commissioner. The one payment that we have left is in July, which will be in this fiscal
That's
year.
this fiscal.
So the year we're speaking about will be free and clear of that payment.
Oh, so it saves us 466.
How do you get to 466?
233 twice. We were paying it, the 233 twice.
Is there a June payment and a July payment?
Just July.
No, it's just,
July,
July, right, so
January.
how does it get to 466?
You said two payments. You said
No.
January and.
We already
They're
did
due the
January.
15th of each month. They're due
But we already
the
did
15th of
January. and-
But
So we got one
so
more
last
July.
year, we had two payments
Yeah.
that were in our budget.
Yeah.
Next
you're
year,
saying-
we'll have zero payments. So that's a
Depending on the interest
$466,000.
rate or any,
Positive
it might be
dollar.
a
I
couple
get you.
thousand here or there,
So that's a good guess.
plus or minus, which would be minimal.
so each payment is 233, and there are two of those payments per year.
Actually,
Right.
But
So
ending in July of this year, which is a good thing. Yeah.
but wait,
That's a fiscal this year, for fiscal
Starts in-
next year, that's for, like, to Rainer's point, it's $466,000
Plus.
It'll be a
addition to our
Pipes.
budget.
Yeah.
Or to our revenue, actually.
so just so I'm confused, so 2024, the payment for October, November, December was paid in September on the old budget? Or is it on
There was
the,
no payment in October, it was just July or January. and
January,
July.
July.
There were two payments a year.
okay, gotcha,
They gave me a statement for
gotcha.
October. It
I was
a
thinking quarterly, all right.
Thank you, Gene.
That's good news.
Why don't you sit up front, because then you have to walk so far.
Well,
My vocals is
Oh.
better.
yeah, just chime in if it's good news. If it's bad news.
Yeah,
Go farther
Tell
back.
Michelle to speak, right?
So we jumped ahead of it, but just so you're aware, what's on the prompter is that slide that shows you the two items for the loans. And that was asked for by multiple commissioners for this meeting, and that's why it was on the original packet. We just have to get the information together.
So the town hall loan is 78,000. That's
Four
quarterly or
payments.
that's,
Quarterly.
so that's 4 times that. So that's, okay.
Four times
That's
eight.
320,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll be there again for this coming year and a bit for the year after that.
Yes, sir, that goes to 2027.
The next two budgets.
9 more
Just
payments.
partly through the next one.
9 more payments. Okay.
but would it save us anything if we paid it off early?
It's
The
at
interest rate is really
3.6.
low. We should keep it.
3.6.
I mean, 3.6 is pretty low.
Yeah, I'd keep it. I mean, I wouldn't pay
All right, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. That's perfect, actually. This screen that's in front of you is just a duplicate of the paper that you have in front of you. And this is as a result of speaking with Commissioner Ayala and his feedback on make it simple so that we can provide the information in a simple format for the public. And so this will be the beginning stages of what I would consider to be a cover page to the overall binder. And the cover page here will give you the revenue overview for what the town is bringing in, and then to use private sector terms, fixed costs for the town. That's not a term that we use very frequently in government, but we'll use fixed costs. And then some additional costs, which would be like the fire contract, and then your professional services contracts are your planning and zoning of people, and then also your legal services. And we'll take all that and work out what's left. What's left from taking your revenue minus your fixed costs will be considered the incremental dollars, and those incremental dollars are what you can spend on your capital projects.
So when I and I sit down with you, we went fixed costs, recurring costs. Is recurring now facility and equipment?
I'm going to need to do it recurring as maintenance separately.
Maintenance separately.
But yes, I should do a different one based on what you were asking for. You're right.
How about, Michelle, how hard is it to separate ad valorem taxes into homesteaded properties and non-homesteaded properties?
I don't know that it matters, but we can get
Well,
to it.
it could matter. The reason I bring it up is because of what's happening at the state level.
I think that I can definitely give you a separate document on that.
Okay.
Then if you want it to be in the budget, in your budget packet, we can.
But I don't think we
So-
can approach the budget as if something will happen. We don't.
No, but I'm trying to share with you what is
Yeah.
transpiring at the state level
Yeah.
that is going to come down for next year.
Yeah.
The governor originally announced was that he wanted to do away with ad valorem taxes. And now that has been parsed out, and what they're proposing is
The homestead.
that's a separate issue. Holding a referendum so the voters decide whether to eliminate property taxes on homesteaded properties. So it's going to be,
But
we're going to have to follow that. We're going to have to
Right, I
educate people
understand.
as to what
I understand
those,
part,
that
but
money pays.
we can't put together a fixed budget under those conditions. That's what I'm getting at.
No, I know, but it's just,
Okay.
I think it would be good to know how much of our
Yeah.
ad
If we
valorem
can
taxes
gather
are.
it.
That's at risk, so to speak.
Yeah.
It could be something that changes. So I like the way this is developing. I think it looks really good. So when we were talking in our one-on-one, I suggested that we look at, they'll now have the budget this year already loaded into the software. So we'll be able to see there's 100, 200 items. The ones that we're going to care about, I think that we should spend time on are the ones that either went up a lot or went down a lot. The ones that stay about the same, I mean, we can look at them, but we don't really need to waste a lot of time on those. And then what the money that's left over, the strategic choices we're going to make about how we prioritize that. That seems like a good use of our time as opposed to making sure everything got put in or ticked and tied and all that, because I think we're going to be on top of that this year. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that, like have categories that are kind of outliers
Yeah.
because they went up a lot because of the police contract or whatever, or they went down a lot because like the loan on this one here, it goes away. So those are the kinds of things we say, oh, great, now I understand what's changing in a material way from year to year. And then we can go on to the real important discussion, which is how do we prioritize how we spend kind of the money that's left over? Or do we talk about tax rates or something like that? So that's, I think, a good way for us to frame it. It seems like, if that's okay with you guys.
I like that.
But as Michelle mentioned the word recurring, that the discussion I had with her is fixed cost was different than recurring cost, but it's still a fixed cost.
Yeah,
So we need to,
I'm kind of okay however we categorize it.
as long as we have
Yeah.
the final number.
And the stuff that, there are certain things that we can't do much about. Those are kind of the ones that I don't want us to waste a lot of time on, because they're going to happen. They'll go up from last year maybe by cost of living or something. But then there's other ones that are going to really pop or that are really going to go down. And that's where typically in budgeting, you kind of really focus in on that stuff to say, why is that happening? Should it happen? Are we comfortable with it happening? Should we do anything about it?
All right.
So you all have this memo that I printed for you, that this is from our lobbyist. We get,
Is that in here?
I put it right in front of you, the TSE.
Yeah, I think we flipped it on.
So they give us regular updates as to what's being discussed, and this is all about property taxes.
Now, let me ask you a question. Will they be able to give us like what, to your point a minute ago? Yeah, what would be the economic impact to Ocean Ridge on some of these? So this one here with the modifying the assessment increases notation values and stuff like that, that's going to directly affect us, especially if people who've been in their homes for more than 30 years and over 65. There's a few of those here in Ocean Ridge.
Yep.
Would they do that, or who would do that?
Well, they don't have access to,
Or should we just, we know what's happening, we know it may happen and plan when
Yeah.
it does.
I'm sure Palm Beach will have.
And there's no way they're
They
gonna
have to.
spring
There's no way
that.
we can really,
The state isn't gonna say you gotta come into line within 2 months. It's not gonna happen.
One would hope.
well, if they're gonna ask the voters to decide and the voters aren't educated as to, sure, I want my taxes to go down, but
Yeah, but the state government would understand that you can't just suddenly tell towns they're losing 1/3 of their
You
money
think so?
overnight.
you think so?
I just can't imagine them doing that.
I don't know.
So they give you like
No.
a year period, a year before it kicks in or something. Otherwise, it'd be chaos.
Well, at least we never had this information this quick before though. So glad we
No,
have
this
it
is-
I
now.
know.
Yeah, this looks really good.
By the way,
Yeah.
Take care.
So we should spend some time and, are we allowed to talk about this? You and I, could you and I
No.
talk on this? No.
Yes.
So we can talk, you can
Well,
talk
just-
now.
I can
Just
talk to you, yeah.
Post
Yeah,
the
we
meeting
can speak
and,
about it during a workshop.
Yeah. So we can spin our wheels separately and then,
So let me ask you a different
Spin.
question. It's a non-budgetary question, because you're a realtor.
Mhm.
If people with homesteads no longer have to pay property taxes, that's gonna be another deterrent for people selling their homes.
why would it be a deterrent? Oh, because
You
they
don't
don't,
pay
they
the
don't
tax.
have to
They don't
move,
have to
yeah,
move.
yeah.
Yeah, who's gonna move? It's like having disability in the army. Did you know disabled veterans, no property tax in Florida?
Really? I didn't know that.
well, I mean, presumably it would have an impact on property value, right? If taxes
Yeah.
are eliminated, then property value goes up,
Yeah.
right? Because your cash flow is.
But if you're an 80-year-old
Well,
person,
Not if you're not able to provide
Yeah, they said
necessary
here's something
services
about
like police and
65.
fire.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
different issue. I
65.
mean, I assume they're talking about some type of value-added tax to take the place of that. Well, how's everything gonna?
Well, that's the big question.
I
We all
assume
look
that
at
this
each
is-
other like, how are they paying for this?
I assume that this is in
the real estate market will come to a
discussion
standstill.
around a VAT tax.
That's it. Stop.
You're never gonna
Which
sell.
is,
Never.
which is regressive and bad for.
They're gonna be
low-income
buried in
people.
the front yard. So I can keep the tax.
All right, let's go ahead and move on.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, typically the state does have to run actuarials for all of their changes. And so they have a part of their Department of Revenue site is dedicated to that. I don't think they've run anything yet on this issue.
That's,
Okay, so next,
And that is it. As far as
Street-
their feedback, I've gotten all the feedback I needed right now to continue moving us in the right direction. And when we come back together again, we'll have a lot more in front of you. Right now, we have already moved last year's information in the BSNA software over.
oh,
We
good, you're
moved it
able to-
forward already. And so now we are going through and adding percentages where it's appropriate to add percentages, like the roll, and then line iteming and crossing things out. And as a matter of fact, your chief this morning had a great meeting with the person that takes care of his IT contract, and they've gone through and eliminated more than a handful of items that are no longer needed. So those expenses will come off. So thank you, chief, for making that happen.
Good job.
really?
Do we have, I know we discussed it, but like our budget meeting schedule going forward?
Yes, that was all approved when we did all the meetings. They are all on the
Do-
website, but I can get them back
Do
to
you
you.
mind
Yeah, you know,
Did you send
resending
them
us
to
a
us?
quick email so we can,
Yeah, and you know what, Kelly, because some of us, don't project out 6 months in advance, it would be good if you reminded us every kind of month what that schedule is.
I'll send you out an
Every
email
week.
with everything.
Yeah, a little rubber hammer.
I have a friend who does it in the calendar.
I mean, I
Asking
think
for a
I
friend.
can.
I just call Carolyn.
How'd it go, okay?
Yeah.
It's
Good.
good.
Okay.
Any-
Felt like
Any
a little
questions?
chocolate there for a bit, but
No, I
I'll
think it's
learn
good.
you. and you
No, it's
can
actually
change.
impressive, really.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's easy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it makes it,
It is.
I
you
think
know.
we're way ahead.
So I got one question for you.
Yes.
When we get to capital improvements, when do you project that we would have the total fixed cost number available to us? What,
No matter where you go, that one piece of your budget should always be considered dynamic. because the numbers that we submit to you in September
Mhm.
are considered final, except that most of the time when you get when you get the bids back in, they're not exactly what you projected. That's just how it moves. When you're projecting something for 2027 and you're 2 years ahead, the world changes. So understand that it's supposed to be specific, but it's a pretty generalized document.
But we can't wait
That's
till
realistic.
September for fixed costs because the
Oh,
budget
no,
we're
no,
doing
I thought you were talking
activates.
about the capital improvement plan, I'm sorry.
No, like,
Projects.
that's always our toughest strain is capital improvements because the fixed cost eats up so much money.
It's kind of a plug.
And the thing
Right.
with the
So
capital improvements piece is that's why it's important to prioritize, the most important things. And then on the side, your staff is running to get grants or additional funds. It's a puzzle that's constantly it's a plane that's being built while it's flying, as they
Right,
say.
but I'm talking expenditures, I consider grants revenues. So, like at what time period would have the total fixed cost that you've estimated for the next budget?
You're gonna have everything finalized for, I would say August.
Well, I got a quick question.
Understand everything is gonna be, down to the wire, no matter what we do, September, because we'll get changing information from the
But
state.
directionally, we'll have an idea.
Yeah, you're
Next
gonna-
meeting, we're gonna
Right,
know if it's bigger than a bread box. I mean, we'll be able to close in.
That's still, I mean,
Well,
It's
a
$12
question,
million budget is, we're not gonna have a lot of changes.
a question always gets dodged, and we ask it every single year, is when will you know how much the surplus would be, how much we did spend?
from last.
Because every single year, it's like this, trying to,
It's a game.
it's all over
Blood
the
from a
place.
stone.
Yeah, it's like, really getting blood from a stone. So there's at some point, you must know that, okay, our expenditures, we spent 99% of the budget, and this is exactly what we budget, so this should be the number that's left over versus any kind of,
It should be August.
it should be a hard number.
We have,
But we
final
always seem to
advertising
get,
dates.
never, it's like, what's the number? Or close.
Michelle, to add to what Jeff is
Let me-
saying here,
let me
what
commit
happens
to
is
August,
previous,
and we'll do that.
previous town managers have been extremely reluctant to give us that number because they don't want to be caught out and found out to be wrong through no fault of their own. We've explained to previous town managers that we won't blame you if you're wrong, but we'd like an idea of that number.
My goal will be to give you that information for your August meeting. And that is
That's,
ahead of time.
that's great.
That's ahead of time. That's a big push.
Yeah.
And the reason some people don't enjoy doing that is because they are still dynamics. There's still things that change from August to September.
Well, we
get
we get
Get
it. But I mean, it should be a number that you should say, okay, it's 200,000, 300,000. I mean, we only had
Or if
one
that's-
time in the whole 20 years been doing this where we actually had a negative amount once in all the time. So, I mean, it is a positive number because it help us out in also deciding on whether we want to, spend a little more or reduce taxes and
Yeah, so
Carolyn's
like
base.
if we know through June or July that we're running $1 million ahead of budget in terms of expenses, I mean, better than budget, that's a good thing for us to know because we can start thinking about deploying that towards some of these projects we've been talking about, or whatever.
And we understand.
And
the
adjusting our
hurricanes
budget for the next year.
right.
But would you mind saying a couple words about what we talked about with recognizing grant revenue?
Sure, there's a concern about recognizing grant revenue before it's actually in your bank. And I think that there may have been a practice and a comfort zone around doing that. Most of your finance officers will not do it that way. Obviously, if the commission says, no, we want it positioned here and recognized here, if that's why historically it's been that way, we will move in that direction. But ideally, we recognize solely the revenue that we know is coming in. And I guess there could be a debate
I'm
that,
sorry, let me make sure I understand. You're saying most towns would do it on a cash basis, not on an accrual basis?
not on a cash basis, but by a commitment base. So when the state gives you a letter that says, congratulations, you have been awarded this contract,
Then we can book it?
Conditionally.
Then we can book it?
then we can book it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but up
We've been
until-
booking it before that?
I think there's some patterns that you can see where monies were established earlier than they should have been.
I think what we
Well,
did was Hudson, we said the town allocated 350,000 because we believed we were getting 350,000 from the state. We never got the 350. So I don't know what happened to the town's 350.
Well, what we did is we recognized $1,050,000 for the Priest property purchase, the grant that we got from FCT. We don't physically have that money yet. And I asked the
Well,
question,
that's fine. I mean,
And
if
they
we've got
said-
a commitment, I don't have a problem.
but there are grant conditions though.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, that's how Aquila County works. I mean, as long as we meet the conditions. If we've got a commitment, I don't have a problem with that. If we don't have a commitment, I have a problem. If we've been doing that, so we should make sure.
What, do you happen to know the reserve number currently? I know we ask it all the time.
Do not know the reserve number. It's a good question. I want to say 12. Do you, Jean, do you know?
I'm thinking it's around,
12?
I
Six.
thought it was around, no, it's way more.
It's not 12.
It's not 12 million?
No, I think it's
So it's 7 or,
6. I thought it was 6,
Okay.
8.8, 6.8.
it's almost $7 million, last time I thought.
We kind of need that number
I'm gonna
because,
get that number for
Yeah.
by 6 o'clock, I hope.
right,
For you
because we
tonight.
need, at some point, we got to look at, well, is our reserve too large? And that can help us with the capital projects.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's,
I think it's 6.8.
we need to know what it is, but I don't think we're gonna conclude it's too large.
You know, the caution is always, the money goes fast when a hurricane comes in and you have to fund everything ahead of time.
Yeah.
For
It really does.
a, you know, a barrier island, I think the amount you're supposed to hold is pretty high compared to the annual budget, but we'll look into that.
Well, remember
We'll have a
the
discussion.
the bow tie man? He said, he did it for quite easy math. He just
Yeah,
took,
audit guy.
the-
The audit guy?
yeah,
Ron Bennett.
he just took the amount we spend, divided by 365, and then the reserve tells you what percentage of the year you could continue running.
Yeah, and I think it's 6 to 9 months at least is what you're supposed to hold.
We were in
Barrier
6
island.
months shape, and he said that like West Palm's got 7%, so they can only run for 7% of a year.
But I mean, I wouldn't, you know, that's not our.
No, our
benchmark.
goal.
It's concerning if you rely on that county to help you. So definitely, no, you need to be self-reliant.
We did look that up last year,
Yeah.
Steve, and it was, I think it was 6 to 9 months was what
I
they
definitely,
recommended for a town like ours, which can have.
it was like
you have a hurricane.
63% of the year or something crazy. It was good.
So I got a question, I have a question, maybe it's not appropriate. We're talking about finance men. And we're working with 2.
So that's on tonight's agenda.
That's on
tonight,
tonight?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can talk about it here if you want
Sure,
to.
if you'd like to.
I'll just,
So
we'll
brings
talk
us
about it tonight.
Well, it would probably be better to talk about it now, frankly.
We have 2 different professional services contracts coming before you tonight. While they were both within the realm of my procurement authority, I brought it to you anyway. I wanted it to be in front of the commission. The one name that you recognize, Richard Hartley, is somebody who's been working with the town since 2021. And so that gentleman will continue to work with Ron Bennett, your audit professional, to finalize the 2024 audit. And the other professional services person I brought for you is a new name, Holly Gaff, and she is a certified financial officer for government accounting. And she will help us with the budget and moving forward on forward-looking items. At this point, that's how I'm using the tool.
And she has experience with the software that
Correct.
we use.
Yes,
And
actually, she's going to come in and train some of
Yeah.
our team as well.
The guy that we've been using, or I guess been using, when's the last time we got a bill from him?
Oh, yeah, that's,
My understanding from my treasurer is 2022.
I think it's a year.
And
So he hasn't billed us in
2 years?
4 years.
I
yeah.
think that there's an
Is this
invoice coming.
2025? So
forward.
3 years.
Hmm.
So he hasn't billed us for 3 years. How many times has he signed on to the system?
I wouldn't be able to tell you that number for.
Yeah.
exactly.
I think it was close to 0.
And how much
He
should we
signed into
budget
our
for
actual
him
system.
That's a good question, too.
60,000, I believe.
a year?
Yeah, so I think there's a $45,000 line item for professional services, outside consulting. And the new contract allows up to $65,000.
But Dave, I mean, he's got institutional knowledge. We got to close the audit. We're going to miss our audit deadline again this year
Yes, I know.
for like how many umpty years in a row. We'll never miss that again. I mean, I'm confident of that. But I'm not sure that we would expect that we'd be using him in perpetuity, but we need to get through this cycle and then maybe have somebody else that helps us going forward. That would be what I
Well,
would.
wasn't the other firm going to give us the a bid and everything else for what they're doing?
Yes, and that contract is on tonight's agenda.
Aren't they coming with a contract for us?
It's coming in tonight, and I'm asking you to approve it because I'm using
Okay.
those services for the finalizing the 2024 audit.
So,
That's in the meeting tonight?
yeah, but it's under
Under financials.
Oh, it's in the,
consent agenda.
it's in the, yeah.
So we
consent
need to discuss it now then if it's got this stickiness, right?
No, there's no stickiness. The contract is written, it's going to be, we're gonna use them well right now.
Okay, so we'll keep it under approved because, okay.
I'm going to do my best to get this audit shepherded to you before the deadline. And he's
Do you
going
think
to
we
help
could
you
do
with
it?
that.
You think we could actually meet the deadline?
There's gotta be somebody that's positive here, so I'm gonna be on it. Although they have told me that it would be a stretch to make it, and I think that with Jean helping here as our treasurer and myself, and the addition of Holly helping, and then Mr. Hadley working all together, we're gonna push to get it done.
Great, that'd
Fantastic.
be super.
Anything else?
I
Well,
guess-
thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Since we're in a budget meeting, it came up in my meeting and it came up somewhere else about trying to get a AAA rating for the town, so we get very low interest rates. So at some point, we're gonna have to address where we're getting these loans. And there's a gentleman named Art Zev, I spoke to him about this, he said, we'll never get AAA, never gonna happen. But he's confident of the various categories we can get, and he's glad whenever staff decides to go towards where we're gonna get the money for the large water main,
Mm-hmm.
he will gladly sit down, who's ever the point person, and help dramatically. That's what he does for a living.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's
Great.
an Ashland resident.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lives right down the
Yeah.
street from you, doesn't
Yeah, he'll volunteer, you know,
he? Yeah.
but this is what he does
Yeah,
for
he's on one of
municipality.
he's on one of the boards. He's on
Septic
Board of
sewer,
Adjustment.
but I think he quit.
Board of Adjustment.
Was he still board? I know he
Pretty
quit
sure.
septic sewer.
Well, it disbanded.
There isn't a septic sewer.
Well, no, he quit before they disbanded.
But he's still, I think he's still on Board of Adjustment.
Yeah, he is. Kelly's nodding.
Okay,
Board of Adjustment.
And to your point, sir, with one payment left on your revolving loan, we would have the opportunity to go back again and look for a low interest rate for continuation of your water main issues.
Which is what we had discussed going forward.
with the same bank.
And that's kind of how we approached the state appropriation request, is that we want $600,000 this year, but we will be positioned, they don't want you to go say, we need this every year. No, this is a one-time ask.
Yeah.
For this.
Hmm.
We'll see.
That doesn't help us then. Because we're gonna spend at least $1 million a year for the next 15 years.
I know.
Maybe that would be for
Probably
the
a
next
little more
30
than that.
years. Yeah, I mean.
I'm trying to be
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah, I was
One
gonna say a little more than that. Steve.
One
we
thing
need-
at a time.
We need,
There's
we're gonna need a lot
70,000
of,
linear feet.
we're gonna need a lot of sources. of
Times
money.
$780, right?
Yeah, we're gonna need loans, we're gonna need a lot of sources.
Oh,
This is very positive.
Yeah.
Very positive.
all right. Well, Michelle, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice
Staff has been great.
presentation.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your.
Puts
work.
us on the right path forward. All right. No more questions? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
See you at 6.
Oh,
Kelly,